Hi everyone, my name is Katie. I'm a primary school teacher from the UK and I'm currently teaching abroad in Hong Kong. I decided to get my camera out and film today kind of spontaneously. Normally I would plan these videos and I would make some notes for them, and normally I'll have a script of sorts to do with what I'm talking about. However, today I have been inspired by Good Morning Miss Foster over on Instagram. I just took part in a live video with her and a load of other educators from around the world, so I'm feeling a bit more spontaneous than usual. I get sent a lot of questions over on my Instagram every day from you guys asking about resources, about teaching abroad, about teaching in the UK and teaching placements and all kinds of different things. So I posted out on Instagram and said, I've been a teacher for 6 years, ask me anything you want. And I've had a lot of responses from you guys, so I thought it might be really nice to just choose a couple of them today and do some really quick fire answers. I'm going to try not to go into a huge amount of detail for each one so I can get through as many questions as I can. The first question that came through was, is it easy finding work in the UK as an NQT? Love the channel, by the way. Thank you so much. I don't know if it's easy to find work in the UK as an NQT, but I definitely think it is more likely that you will get a job than you won't. I would say that almost all of the teachers that I qualified alongside, the ones that were actively looking for work, I would say almost everyone got a job immediately. There was probably a couple of teachers that it did take a little bit longer for them to find the right work, and some people did work on supply, some people did go into education from a different angle, and some people chose not to go into education and they actually went and did something different. Obviously, I can't guarantee that you are going to get a job straight out of university, but based on the people that I knew at university and who managed to get work after they qualified, I would say it is quite likely that you will walk into a job after you qualify. But if you don't worry about it. Just spend some time getting to know the schools in the area that you're hoping to teach in. Do as much research as you can about the schools that are available in your local area or where you're thinking of getting work. I would also say that a lot of the teachers that I know, they did supply teaching before they got their jobs. So maybe consider doing that. It's a really, really good way to get to know the schools in your local area, and you never know, if you end up doing supply in a school and they like you and you feel like you like the vibe of the school as well, there is a chance that they might offer you a job at the end of it. Next question is, how rewarding does it feel? I actually get asked this question all the time, if teaching is rewarding, if I enjoy the job, if it feels good to be a primary school teacher. Yes, I would say the job is incredibly rewarding. You get an amazing sense of achievement nearly every single day that you go to work, and I think that's something very, very special. The job is never boring, and although you will have times in your career where you're feeling more uninspired and you need to sort of rejig things, it is the sort of job where it's the reward that keeps on giving. You keep sort of reappreciating what it is that you do. And I think having a direct impact on the lives of so many students is really what helps it to be such a rewarding job. Obviously, there are lots and lots of pros and cons when it comes to teaching, and that is something that I've addressed in videos before, but on the whole, I would say that teaching is a super rewarding job and I really, really love doing it. Most of the questions that I'm putting out in this video today are things that I've been asked before, but this one is really interesting because it's the first time I've been asked this by anyone, I think. I think I've had similar, but not this exact question. Do you think it's possible for someone with social anxiety to become a successful teacher? I think that's a really, really interesting question because I feel as though teaching requires you to put on almost like a face, almost like an act that can be quite uncomfortable for a lot of people, especially people that find it difficult to stand in front of a room or present to an audience. And I think if you do have a form of anxiety or a form of social anxiety, that probably will get muddled up with your career as well. It will probably affect your teaching at the start. I don't think I suffer from any form of anxiety myself personally. I do have ups and downs, and I have days where it is really, really hard to keep a firm grasp on my own emotions and, get myself feeling really positive. However, I don't find that I get really, really nervous in front of a crowd. Maybe I am one of the fortunate ones, but if you are someone that has a form of anxiety or you find it quite difficult to be in front of a crowd or present yourself to a group, I would say that teaching is something that every time you do it, it gets a little bit easier. And at the start, it will make you nervous, especially sort of the first time that you stand there and you look down and there's, 20 to 30 little pairs of eyes staring back up at you. chances are there will be another adult in the room watching too, maybe even making notes based on your performance. It is something that I can imagine would trigger forms of anxiety if you have it. However, I do think that it is an amazing opportunity to build confidence. Maybe if you were working as a teaching assistant for a while, you could get used to working with a small group or an intervention group, and then you could build your way up to having a go at doing some whole class teaching. So that might be a really good tip as well if you feel as though teaching might be a bit full on for you, or you might find it really difficult to control your emotions. I think what I will do to better support you as an educator is on the ForTeachers page, I will do a Q&A at some point asking if anyone with a form of anxiety has got any top tips for a new teacher, and hopefully we can work together to collate some information there to support different teachers that watch this channel. Since recording, I decided to ask this question on the ForTeachers Instagram page. If you would like to read through some of the advice shared, feel free to pause the video here. Next question, how did you get into teaching? I think I can answer that one quite quickly. I got my A-levels at college. I gained experience volunteering in a local primary school. I wrote a personal statement for the university of my choice. I did an interview at Sheffield Hallam University. I was offered the place. I did 3 years of study at Sheffield Hallam University, and then I qualified as a teacher. That makes it sound really simple, like I did it in 5 minutes. It took a long time, it was very stressful, it was a very difficult couple of years, but it was also 3 of the best years that I have ever had. Teacher training is really tough, but it is a very enjoyable process as well. I have also got lots of information about that on the channel, so I will flash up some of those videos now that you might want to check out for some more information. When did you know you wanted to be a teacher? This is a really nice question. I'm not sure I've answered it on this channel before. I might have done, I can't really remember. But I used to work in a children's party centre, so I was the party hostess. I used to wear little boppers on my head and a skirt, and we would sing the happy birthday song, and we would do some dances, and the children would copy the moves. I kind of half really liked the job, but I also half took the job because I was a teenager and I needed a job. So before I took it, I didn't have a particular passion when it came to working with children or students. I didn't see that as part of my timeline. It was not something that I had as a plan or a life goal. While I was working as a party hostess, there was a really clear and distinct moment that I remember happening. I said, stand up, and every child just stood up. And then I said, oh, make a line by the door. And every child just made this beautiful line by the door, which in reality as a teacher probably doesn't happen all that often, but this was a clear moment for me. And I remember looking at the line and thinking, okay, let's walk down the corridor sensibly, let's go over to the party room. And I just remember this process of thinking to myself, oh, they're listening to me, they're following my instructions, and they seem really excited about what's about to happen next and the games they're about to play. And I just remember thinking to myself, maybe if I can use this here in a party centre, I might also have the skills required to use this in a primary school. And it just started this process in my head, and I was just thinking, yeah, I'll be a teacher, that's a great idea. And I just remember thinking, it sounds like a great job, I'll get the opportunity to travel, and yeah, that's my plan, I'm going to be a teacher. Please let me know down below in the comments what your moment was where you decided that you wanted to become a teacher, because for me it was a very clear light bulb moment that went off, and I can picture myself in that moment even though it will be, probably 10 or 12 years ago now. Yeah. Next question is, why did you choose primary and not secondary? I don't know, I just had this fear of going into a secondary school and only being like 5'5" and the students looking so smart with their blazers on and me sort of not looking like a teacher. I think that's an honest answer. I was a little bit worried of looking quite young, and I don't know if I would have had the confidence to stand in front of an older group of students and present in the same way that I do to primary school students. I don't know, there was just something about the thought of being really inspiring for a younger group of students that stood out to me. When you show them things, it might be the first time they've seen it and they just soak it up and they're really excited for pretty much everything that you show them. I don't know if I would ever teach secondary. Maybe. I don't know. It's never really crossed my mind. Maybe in the future, who knows, I will do some kind of degree or qualification that would allow me to teach secondary. Right now, it's not on my list of things to do. Just now, thinking about it, I'm thinking, maybe I could do it. Are there any teachers watching this channel that have transitioned from primary to secondary or from secondary to primary? I would be really curious to speak to you and find out what the change was like. What motivates you to keep smiling every day? I love your page, by the way. Oh, thank you so much. I think I often take a step back to remind myself that I am really lucky to have what I have. I think I feel quite proud when I think about the qualification that I have and the opportunities that I've had, because I've had the chance to teach in the UK, which was an amazing and enriching experience. I learned a lot. And I've also had the opportunity to teach abroad. So I think the motivation is probably just the appreciation of the opportunities that I've had as a result of my job. Even if it's a rainy day as a teacher and you're feeling uninspired and you're lacking motivation and you're exhausted, just try and remind yourself that it is a really cool job to have. You have a big summer holiday coming up. You're making a massive impact on the lives of so many students, hopefully. Even though I will have days where I can't see that appreciation very clearly, I know it's there in the back of my mind and I just have to sort of look for it and pull it back out. Just be aware that your emotions will be up and down quite a lot, probably. You are doing such a cool job and it is tough, but it is so worth it at the same time. Do you feel like you could ever get bored of teaching? Love your videos. Thank you. So much love on the videos. I appreciate you guys so much. Do I feel like I could ever get bored of teaching? Maybe. When you live in an apartment for a couple of years and you start to sort of take it for granted and you sort of forget that it was an amazing place when you first moved in and you were really excited. And the same goes for when you start a new gym class, and when you join you're really enthused and inspired, and after a couple of months it might start to feel like a routine and it gets quite repetitive. So I don't know if I'll love teaching forever. There could be a point where I just sort of think to myself, I'm not inspired, I'm not enthused, it's not happening at the moment, and maybe I would have to take some kind of career break, or I'd have to look into a different area of education, or maybe something completely different. I don't know. I can say that it hasn't happened yet. I'm really looking forward to working with new classes of students and different ages. Yeah, maybe it will happen. But I think that can be said for anyone in any career, not just with teaching. You never know if you might wake up one day and your inspiration is a little bit deflated and you think it's time for a change. If it does happen, I will let you guys know. I'm 3 years into teaching in London. I want to move overseas to teach. Is it a good idea? I am a massive advocate for teaching abroad. I think it's such an amazing thing to do. It's such an amazing experience. There are so many schools around the world. They're looking for English teachers to fly out and share their experience. You can learn about a new culture. You can learn about a new education system. Yeah, I would just say if you've got something in your mind that's telling you maybe you should teach abroad for a while, kind of follow that path. I have no regrets about when I moved abroad because I moved out as soon as I felt the urge to go. However, I do have a lot of friends who are teaching abroad and they always say that they wish they had moved abroad sooner. Don't put it off for too long. Maybe just get a couple of years experience in the UK, go and do your stint abroad, go and enjoy yourself in your travel, and you can always move back in a couple of years. I think it will open up a lot of opportunities for you and it's just a really cool thing to do. How do you lesson plan? I feel like that's a very big question. Like, how do I plan a lesson is huge, and it's something that is an ever-changing process. And the way that I plan lessons now is very different to how I planned lessons when I was on placement, and then it changed when I was an NQT, and then it changed in my second year of teaching, and it changed when I moved abroad, and it changes pretty much every single couple of weeks. I start thinking of new ways that I want to organise my ideas and put lessons together. I am working on a series at the moment about lesson planning. I have put together quite a lot of notes about the process from coming up with an idea and linking it with all different areas of the curriculum and sort of the outcome that I like to see at the end of maybe a unit of work. To try and answer in short, I think the way that I've changed my process of planning, I think I had a really clear vision of what I wanted my lessons to look like and how I wanted to open and how I wanted to conclude a unit, whereas now I'm much more likely to work with the ideas of the students, what inspires them, what motivates them, and I let the students have a much bigger role in the planning and the creation of the lessons that I teach. It has taken me a few years to get to this stage. No doubt in a couple of years I will change my methods again, but for now I think the best part of lesson planning and creation is to truly listen to what your students are saying and what they're talking about. And even if you introduce an idea and it has to link with a certain strand of your curriculum, just listen to what the students are bringing to the lesson. Listen to the ideas that they're sharing, because that is the best kind of lesson planning, using the student. It will probably even save you some time as well. If you are not already subscribed to ForTeachers, please do that now by clicking the subscribe button, which is just below this video. It really helps the channel to grow. Please follow me on Instagram for lots of teaching video updates, and leave any questions that you have about teaching down below in the comments and I will be sure to answer them. Thank you so much for watching, and I will speak to you again soon.